He thought he had moved on, until the woman on the operating table was the one he once loved. It was a little past midnight. Inside Riverstone General Hospital, one of the busiest hospitals in Buenos Aires, Argentina. At that hour, the entire building felt almost quiet, dim, and heavy with the kind of silence that only settles when the world is asleep. Inside Operating Room 2, Dr. Mateo Alvarez, one of the city's top obstetric surgeons, had just finished a complicated C-section. After more than 14 hours of non-stop work, he was exhausted, his shoulders tight, his mind clouded. But this was normal for him. For years, he had been the kind of doctor who pushed through fatigue like it was nothing more than another item on his list. He pulled off his gloves, ready to take a 5-minute breather, maybe drink a bit of cold coffee, anything to reset his brain, when the hospital's loudspeaker suddenly crackled to life. Dr. Alvarez to Emergency Room 5. Obstetric emergency. Dr. Alvarez, ER 5 immediately. The tone of the nurse's voice over the intercom said everything. This wasn't a routine call. This was life or death. Mateo paused for a second, rubbing his forehead, then turned toward the scrub sink again. Before he could even reach for the faucet, a nurse rushed into the hallway. "Doctor," she said breathlessly, "it's critical. 39 weeks pregnant. Heavy bleeding. Blood pressure dropping quickly. She may not make it to sunrise." Mateo washed his hands quickly, his movements automatic, practiced, the result of long nights and thousands of procedures. Nothing surprised him anymore. Or so he thought. Then the nurse continued speaking, reading from her tablet. Patient's name, Marina Solis, 30 years old. Mateo's hands froze. The water kept running, steaming under the fluorescent lights, but his hands didn't move. Because that name, hit him like a blow straight to the chest. Marina. His ex-wife. The woman he once swore he would spend his life with. The woman he abandoned without courage, without explanation, and without the decency she deserved, almost 2 years ago. His heartbeat thundered in his ears. It couldn't be her. There were many Marinas in the city. Many Solis families. It had to be someone else. The nurse noticed his sudden stillness. "Doctor? Are you all right?" He forced himself to nod. "I'm fine," he lied. "Let's go." They hurried down the corridor, past rows of sleeping patients, past the night shift nurses sipping watery coffee. With every step, the dread grew heavier in his stomach. He kept telling himself it was just a coincidence. Buenos Aires was big. There was no way life could be that cruel. But life sometimes is exactly that cruel. Because the moment the doors of ER 5 swung open and Mateo stepped inside, his world stopped. There she was. Marina. Pale. Motionless. Unconscious. Her long, dark hair was spread across the pillow like spilled ink. Her lips were colorless. Her breathing barely lifted her chest. Blood soaked the sheets underneath her, staining the white into something violent. The monitors screamed warnings in sharp, urgent beeps. For a moment, Mateo couldn't breathe. His knees almost buckled beneath him. The anesthesiologist snapped at him, unaware of the storm ripping through him. "Doctor. Blood pressure at 78/42 and dropping quickly. We have to operate now." That snapped him back into action. He forced his feet to move, forced his hands to steady. He had taken an oath to save lives. And tonight, fate had placed the life he once loved, and the child he unknowingly abandoned, in his hands. The team prepped her for emergency surgery. Mateo's mind was chaos on the inside, but his voice came out steady and sharp. Prepare for immediate C-section. Get blood units ready. Set up for possible placental detachment. He spoke like a machine, like someone who did this every day, because he did. But on the inside? He was breaking. He had not seen Marina in 2 years. Not since the night she told him she was pregnant. He remembered that night like a wound that never healed. She had stood in their tiny apartment's kitchen, her hands trembling, her voice a whisper. "Mateo, we're having a baby." And he hadn't been ready. Not mentally. Not emotionally. Not even close. Instead of choosing her, he left. He packed a small bag and walked out. Left a short note on the counter. Didn't answer her messages. Didn't return. Now here she was, broken, bleeding, possibly dying, and he was the only one standing between her and the end. The surgery began. The moment he made the incision, the problem became clear. Placental abruption. One of the deadliest complications. If he didn't move fast, both mother and baby would be gone. More suction, he ordered. Sutures ready. Hold pressure. His team followed every command. Minutes felt like hours. The room filled with tension so thick it felt like another presence. Then. A cry. A loud, strong, beautiful newborn cry. A baby girl. The nurse lifted the tiny infant, pink, alive, breathing with a strength that surprised even the doctors. Mateo stared at the baby. A wave of emotions crashed over him, regret, disbelief, something like grief, something like love. Because years ago, Marina had told him she dreamed of having a daughter. I want a little girl, she had said. I want to raise her to be strong. To be brave. To know she's loved. Now that dream was real. Right in front of them. But he couldn't stop. Not yet. Marina was still losing blood, fast. More transfusion, he said. She's crashing, move. His voice cut through the panic. His hands worked with the precision of someone who had done this thousands of times. Sweat dripped from his forehead. His jaw clenched tight. Stay with me, Marina, he whispered under his mask. You're stronger than this. Fight. The bleeding slowed. Her vitals stabilized. Her blood pressure climbed higher, steadying. They saved her. After nearly 4 hours in the operating room, they managed to pull her back from death. Mateo stitched her carefully, layer by layer, until the wound was closed and her breathing was no longer fragile. When they wheeled her into recovery, he allowed himself a single moment, just one, to stand there and breathe. He didn't cry, but the burn in his chest felt like tears if they had shape. Minutes later, Marina slowly blinked awake. Her eyes fluttered open, confused, clouded by anesthesia. She looked around weakly, at the nurses, the lights, the machines, then her gaze landed on him. Her lips trembled as she whispered. Mateo? He swallowed hard. Yes. I'm here. You're safe, he said softly. The baby is safe too. A tear slid down her cheek. My daughter, she whispered. She's strong, he said gently. Just like you. Before he could say anything more, the door suddenly burst open. A man rushed in. Tall. Nervous. Scared. Gabriel, her husband. Her new life. He ran straight to her side, grabbed her hand, kissed her forehead again and again. Mi amor, thank God. You're safe. Our little girl is safe. His voice cracked with gratitude and relief. When he turned toward Mateo, his words were genuine. Doctor, thank you. You saved my family. My family. Those 2 words pierced deeper than any scalpel ever could. Mateo forced a smile. No need to thank me, he said softly. You all did great. She's a fighter. Gabriel nodded gratefully, tears still in his eyes. He was the man who stayed. The man who didn't run. The man who built a home with the woman Mateo once loved. Later that morning, after rounds, Mateo visited Marina's recovery room one last time. She sat propped up against pillows, holding her newborn daughter in her arms. They named her Isabella. A soft, beautiful name. The room looked peaceful, sunlight spilling in through the blinds, Gabriel sitting beside the bed, their hands touching, their baby asleep against her mother's chest. It was a picture of a complete family. A picture Mateo was not a part of. For one quiet, fleeting moment, he let himself imagine an alternate life. A life where he didn't run. A life where he stayed. A life where that baby would have been his daughter too. But life rarely gives second chances wrapped with neat bows. Marina lifted her eyes to his. Her voice was soft, but firm. You saved me tonight, she said. Thank you. But, saving me doesn't erase the past. He nodded slowly. I know, he whispered. I don't expect forgiveness. Silence stretched between them, filled with years of pain, choices, consequences. Then she spoke again, her tone gentler. I don't hate you anymore, Mateo, she said. I let go of that a long time ago. I had to. For my own peace, and now for her. Her words cut him and healed him at the same time. He realized something important, something he should have known a long time ago. His place in her life had ended years ago. His last responsibility wasn't to reclaim her, but to protect her one final time. Mateo gave a small nod, then stepped back. Take care of yourself, Marina, he said softly. And congratulations, on your beautiful family. He turned and walked out. In the hallway, he stopped, leaned against the wall, and closed his eyes. For the first time in years, he let the tears fall. As dawn broke over Buenos Aires, painting the sky in soft pinks and golds, Mateo understood something with complete clarity. Sometimes love is not about holding on. Sometimes real love is knowing when to walk away. And that morning, as the city slowly came to life, Dr. Mateo Alvarez walked away, finally free, finally honest, and finally at peace.